What is money all about? Most people do not know where their money goes.
What issues have you seen that led you to really creating a system that solves all that?
Usually our personal finances home are a mess. Let's just be honest. And with social media and e-commerce and this whole spending environment, we don't realize the impact that all that is going to make in our world.
How do you go about communicating to your people how you want them to go about being more intentional?
It would change behavior.
Welcome, listeners. I'm Seb Wichmann, your host of the DoGood Insider, where we dive deep into raw and meaningful conversations with visionary founders and CEOs who see beyond profits, elevating the lives of employees and vendors and the planet we call home. Today's guest, we are thrilled to welcome Shane Walker, a visionary entrepreneur and financial expert focusing on intentional living. With over 15 years of entrepreneurial experience, Shane has dedicated his life to creating tools and systems that empower individuals to align their spending with purpose, restore financial freedom, and make smarter money decisions. As the creator of Cube Money, Shane has revolutionized the groundbreaking envelope budgeting system, seamlessly bringing it into the digital age. His expertise in personal finance, combined with his deep understanding of psychology, has helped countless people break free from the paycheck to paycheck cycle and achieve lasting financial peace. Beyond his professional accomplishments, Shane is a devoted husband of 18 plus years, a father to 8 children, and a leader committed to fostering values of faith, family, and service. From exploring the wilderness to mentoring youth and serving his community, Shane's life embodies the balance between purpose and business. So, Shane, I would love to dive straight in by kind of giving the viewers a little bit of an insight around why I was really super keen to get you on today. There is so much agony around money in the world. There is a struggle psychologically, if you will, not understanding how to go about spending it, how to go about managing it, how to go about making it. Cube Money is devoted to getting all this sorted out or sorting this all out. Talk us through, take us back. What issues have you seen that led you to really creating a system that solves all that?
Well, first of all, Seb, thanks for the introduction. I really appreciate that.
Pleasure.
Yeah, so, in my career, I've worked with a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs. And it's interesting, they generally, I'm one of them. So we're workaholics. We're dive into something that we are very passionate about and learn when we get into the details. It's a huge endeavor with many moving parts, and getting all those parts, accounting, operations, finance, employee HR, all moving in the same direction is no small effort. And so usually our personal finances home are a mess. Let's just be honest. We don't have time for it, right? And there's another dynamic that's super interesting with business owners, and we'll get into employees too, because it applies to everybody. But you've got this entrepreneur who's a workaholic, leaving oftentimes the spouse or significant other at home feeling disconnected from all that passion and, so as to speak, excitement. And it's interesting, Seb, because then about 15 years ago, social media became a thing, a craze, right? And e-commerce. And all of a sudden, there was somewhere to turn to for that spouse to find connection. And when they went to find that connection, they saw what their friends were doing and what their friends were buying and where their friends were traveling. And it's interesting, as human beings, that human connection, even though it's digital, we naturally want that. And so it pushes us to spend. And especially when it's just click to buy. And so that spouse ends up being on home, scroll, click, buy, scroll, click, buy. And that busy entrepreneur comes home generally stressed about money, because that's a fundamental part of making a business work, and sees these purchases and it creates a explosion. What are you doing? Unit, right? And so then, to avoid the conflict, because that doesn't feel nice, they go back to work and the spouse goes back to social media. And it creates this pattern of, whoa, and then they end up in divorce. And the very thing that business owner was trying to create, to create a freedom, a home, and so forth, is all of a sudden gone, and the purpose, and businesses fail over and over because, wait a minute, why am I doing this, right? I've lost like what I really thought this was for. And so I saw this over and over and over. The reason why we built Cube Money is because, Seb, every time they would come together as a couple and integrate cash envelope budgeting, it would change behavior almost instantly. But we don't live in a cash-based society. We live in a cashless society. And so it was a lot of work to go to the bank, and if she had the envelopes or he had the envelopes, the other didn't, right? And so there was it was really hard to manage. So they would follow it for a time and they're like, yeah, this is too much work. We got it now. And they'd go back to the traditional digital method of money and fall right back into the same issues, right? And so anyways, it was like, what motivated me is there was a couple out of Dallas, Texas that, when you just meet those people that are like immediate kindred friends, that was this couple. It's just something, they just connected, and they were like, they were fun, and we had a lot of fun together. Anyways, as we got into their finances, discovered that he made a lot of money. His cash flow was over $250,000 a year. And I was like, man, this is going to be an easy, like, slam dunk. We're going to change this couple's lives. And she was so excited because actually he was the spender in their relationship and he couldn't hold on to money. And he finally came to the point where after 10 years, I got to change because this is causing a lot of conflict in my marriage and we're never going to reach our goals because it's because of me, right? So anyways, there was that beautiful coming together. Well, long story short, without getting into the details, they ended up in divorce in 10 months, and I bailed them, Seb. And it was a stab in the heart because there was so much potential and it didn't work. So actually, it was my partner and I went to a payment processing developer and said, hey, we know this works. Cash envelope budgeting works. So how do we make this digital? How do we to create a debit card that can spend from any category in real time so that it creates that exact same give your money a job and then spend directly from that category in real time? And I've done a lot of thinking about this, and the reason why this works so well is actually because in the moment someone's making a spending decision, they see what their money is for. And when they see what their money is for, they're like, oh yeah, I've got to take care of these obligations. And what I really want is to do this, go on this getaway with my wife. I actually don't really want that. I don't need that. And that is what changes everything. It's that simple, knowing what your money is for in that moment you make that decision. That's so powerful.
So thank you so much for that, Shane. Again, we spoke about it is all about our habits, our trauma, our psychology. Why do we buy things in the first place, right? I mean, there are so many questions that open up, right? First things first, for the listeners, it is not always the wife that spends the money. That's number one, right?
Actually,
We guys also,
I'm the spender as well. So anyways.
right? So, it's on both ends. It doesn't, like, I know so many examples, including myself. Actually, I had to catch myself the other day to buy a new shaver, even though I didn't need one, one of those fancy electric ones, because I have plenty of them already in the bathroom. And I thought I need and you really have to kind of catch yourself and think intentional living, right? We just mentioned in the bio about what's the underlying reason, intention for me wanting to buy this? What's actually, and we are very good at justification, the human minds, right?
So good.
So I would love, so thank you for that, about the problem of humans and their own reasons and traumas and all that, because I know just before we came on, you spoke about the Philippines and your travel to the Philippines with your family and how it opened your eyes, and this islet moment where you thought, wow, they are so happy and seemingly they have so little, but maybe the thing that you don't see is what they have, which is inside of us.
Oh, man,
which means they don't need all that much, right? And they call you sir, no, brother, I think you said, and they call your wife sister, right? I mean, how amazing is this? So I'm right now in Bali, and the same here, right? Every time I interact with them, it's just this, there's something there. So anyway, talk us through what is envelope budgeting for the folks of us that don't really know what that is. Talk us through, take it a bit wider let's take it into a wider concept of not just Cube Money, which is obviously, the digital system, if you will, allowing people looking into envelope budgeting. But what is envelope budgeting? How does it solve the issues that people have, that we all have?
Yeah, so it's actually a method of budgeting that's been used for centuries, and the longest existing method. Why? Because it works. And it's this concept of cashing your check. So I want you to imagine having your check in $5, $10, and $20 bills stacked up on your desk, okay? So there's your check. That's actually really what your check is. It's direct deposit into our accounts today, but it's a stack of cash if we ever can remember back when money was actually physical, like it was tangible. And so what you would do is you would label envelopes for your different spending categories. So we buy groceries, and I also need money for fuel. We want to have some fun, so maybe family fun. Maybe it's date night for you and your partner. But then there's also your bills, like your mortgage or rent, and your power bill, and your cell phone bill, and your subscriptions that you pay for, whether that's Amazon Prime or Hulu or whatever else. You have all of these different places that money is actually going to go. And so what it is it's just creating like envelopes, labeling them so you can actually, okay, this is for this, this is for this, this is for this, this is for this. So that money isn't just a stack of one, like stack of money. It actually represents what it's going to do for me in my life, the value that I want it to create for me. And it categorizes that so that I can say, okay, so this is what I actually have left that I can do whatever I want with, and what do I want to do with it? And I know that I have money for everything that I need and that I want to accomplish with this money. That's extremely powerful. Just that activity of saying, this is what I want that paycheck to do for me. So cash envelopes, one, it accomplishes that. And actually, when people make decisions based on purpose, they make better decisions that make them happier. It makes them happier. So, but then the second thing is every time you go to spend, you're actually opening that envelope and saying, oh, that's how much I have left. Okay, yeah, I'm good to buy this. Or
for
like,
this
"Hey, you know what?
particular category, right?
Yes,
So
for
you
this,
open
like,
this
I'm at the
envelope for this
groceries."
particular category that you kind of distributed, and you
Yeah.
ask yourself before you open it up, what's the intention for me buying this? Is this how it works? Like
Yeah, that's
psychologically?
exactly right.
Right.
That's exactly right. So I'm at the
Mhm.
grocery store, I pull out my grocery envelope, and then I pay in cash, and when it goes, it
Or you
leaves my
actually like
budget.
you have different envelopes literally, or you have this envelope for the grocery bills
That's
per
right.
month, and you're like, how much do I have left this month? Can I afford this? Whatever it is.
That's script.
New
That's
razor.
exactly right. And when it's gone, the money is gone, and when it's
The
out,
money is gone.
you're like, either you're gonna say, "I am going to borrow money or take money from one of my other categories because I need more in groceries," or I'm going to say no. But it creates a limit to what I'm saying that I can do, and it keeps me on track.
So talk me through this. Okay, so I imagine now I don't anymore have a lump sum. And look, I have been categorizing my spendings into for years. The difference here that I'm hearing is it's not about the categorization per se, it's actually about the step in between. It's this kind of before you spend the money, you knowing where the money is going to, this intentional step to say, hey, let me pause for a second here. Let's be intentional. I know how much money I've left within this envelope. And I need to ask myself right now, what is the intention behind me wanting or needing to spend this, my justification to make sure it lasts for the entire month? So would that be fair to say that it's the step in between that's the difference, right? Because categorization is, I've done it for years.
Look before you spend.
The look
It's
before
the
you
look
spend,
before
right?
you spend. That's
So
exactly
talk me through this. Talk us through this then. You got to be very disciplined to say, okay, this envelope is now empty. I'm not going to just tap into the pets envelope just sneakily. So how do you go about restricting or creating awareness around to not suddenly dip into the other money? Like, is this hidden from you in plain sight? Like, how do you manage what's your best psychological advice of how to not do that?
So there's two things. Money is best done with an accountability partner. Okay? I mean, when you have somebody else that you're doing things with, it's kind of like exercising. If you exercise with somebody, you are incrementally more likely to exercise at the regiment you decide because there's two people that are pushing that forward, right? And
So when
so,
you spend, your wife is going to be like,
yeah, well,
no,
so
no more
every
groceries, no more razors.
time you spend, you can actually turn on notifications. So she knows every time I spend it. I know every time she spends. We've already agreed to spend that money. So it's okay, right? And to be frank, Seb, when you like tell your money what you want it to do, and then you watch it do exactly what you told it to do, it's super encouraging, motivating, joyful. For example, I have this money that I've saved for my son's birthday. So it's there. When I go to the store, I'm like, I have the money, right? I've got the money to buy this gift for him. And then when I go and buy it, it actually feels good. And then when I give it to him, it feels awesome. I just did exactly what I wanted to do for my son. And that joy on his face, the smile on his face was worth everything that I just did. And it's a good experience. On the other hand, if I don't know, all of my money is in one account and I've got all these bills that I'm not really sure how I'm going to pay for. I think I've got the money. But then when I go to the store, I'm like, do I have the money? I don't know if I do. You know what though? My son's worth it. I'm just gonna do this anyways. But there's this hidden doubt, this like wonder, should I really be buying this? And it makes you feel guilty. It makes you feel uncertain. It creates actually a lot more thought and energy about this purchase than what I shared with you the first time. And it's incredible how where that takes us is emotionally, mentally, relationship-wise.
Yeah, it's not congruent, right?
Simple change.
I can see that. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. That is so interesting. Yeah. So we have entrepreneurs, we have CEOs, we have founders watching these videos, I was about to say, these amazing conversations. I love these conversations because every time I meet somebody, Shane, truth be told, it's almost like us. It's almost like, hey, Shane, I haven't seen you in a few years. It's almost like as we would have met before, which is beautiful, right? And we have this wonderful conversation that's enriched my life, hopefully yours, and hopefully the viewers as well. But as a side note, but we have entrepreneurs, founders, CEOs watching these amazing conversations. Let's talk a little bit B2B here. Let's talk a little bit about, of course, they have families, right? This applies to them as it applies to consumers, right? This is not a conversation, that should stand isolated. But let's talk a little bit about businesses, entrepreneurship. Like, how does this principle of envelope budgeting apply within Cube Money, for example? I'm sure that this is also a method or a strategy or a system that you deploy in-house. How do you go about this? What do you do? And what do you recommend entrepreneurs to do to better look at the budgeting side of their businesses versus just going into offense and selling more?
Well, I'm sorry. My printer is going up.
That's great, yeah. There's money printing happening. There's money printing happening right now. It's actually, I must say, Shane, it's not his printer, it's his money printer where there's physically the feds. Right?
That's right. That's right. So, you know what? You better ask that question one more because that actually totally took me off. So to ask me that question.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk me through entrepreneurs, CEOs, founders. How does this concept of envelope budgeting apply to businesses? How do you do that at Cube Money? What do you recommend entrepreneurs to do inside their own companies? And of course, they have private lives as well. But what's this B2B conversation around envelope budgeting at large?
Well, so we don't have anything really substantial in place for B2B, but man, I'm telling you what, I do not understand why. We have budgets, we have our bank account.
Should be the same, right?
And then we have our accounting. They're the same numbers. So why do I do it 3 times? And why is my budget over here and not in sight when I'm spending money and my people are spending money, my departments are spending money, and then after the fact, like on the 10th of the month, my accountant gets finished doing the books, and then I have to go and say, man, we went over budget here. You know what I mean? Why? Why isn't there a method of being able to create a budget that actually is your bank account, your business bank account, and then spend authorized money in real time or authorized money, and then those departments own that authorized money, and it syncs with the accounting system because it's all the same numbers. And we don't do it 3 times. And like that is coming. It will be called Cube Enterprise, CubeX, but we do have business owners or like real estate property owners that do that with they use a kit account for a rental property. They have all their income coming in, and then it accounts for everything for them, and it automates everything for them. But so unfortunately, we don't have that. We created this for individuals because it's something I believe that financial stress, once we get money to behave the way we want it to, it transforms our life. It allows us as entrepreneurs and business owners, when we're aligned financially with our spouse, it frees up our mind and our energy, positive energy, to go and build big, to truly scale our business. But if we're fighting and there's a struggle on our personal finance end, so much of our energy and our thoughts are focused there, and it stifles the creativity and the ability to lead, the motion to lead in the business front. And I've watched that happen for myself. That's absolutely true.
But, and I look, cube money is one side of the equation, but there's certainly a way, like, I mean, budgeting and, you know, having departmental budget is not a new thing again, right? The way it is not a new thing to have to categorize the spending. But again, the difference that I hear, and I don't know, you tell me, that envelope budgeting where it is different is it is physically opening up the envelope and saying, okay, how much money do I have in here, and being intentional and having this pause in between the kind of thinking we needed as a department actually spending it, right? So what's your recommendation in a company? Because we can implement this right now. We don't need cube money necessarily. It's just the switch mentally where we say, okay, maybe there is an approval stage, which also exists, right? Or, like, it's not new, but what do you think is the difference from an entrepreneur's, from a B2B angle, to say we need to get better at intentional spending? Because again, there are approval processes in-house, there's departmental kind of there are budget holders, right? What's the difference here? How would you go about this?
The difference is that, like, when money is spent, that it's deducted from that budget in real time or at the time. So the next time there is spend in that department, that department owner or department head can say, okay, here's how much we have left.
In real
time. And this is what I have accounted for. I know these expenses are coming out this month, and so, like, here is the excess that I can play with to do XYZ to improve the processes of our department or improve the impact that we're making to the company as a whole. You know, Let me actually share. I think showing a little bit with Cube Money, it would kind of give some, because I think there's a disconnect between physical money and digital, because we actually don't use physical money anymore, right? And so let me just share that real quick. So this card is a fully functioning Visa debit card. What makes it unique is there's no money on it. There's zero available balance right now on this card. So if someone gets a hold of my number, or if I lost my card and someone else got it and they tried to use it, it's going to decline. There's no money on it, okay? But it's connected to my Cube Money app, which is literally an FDIC banking app. Well, when I come in here and I push that $83.72 from groceries, now that money is instantly on the card. When I process the card in real time, it updates the balance of that category, closes it, and returns the card to a zero available balance, ready for the next purchase. And if I'm at date night with my wife, I touch that, it's instantly on the card. So it creates this ability for me to, or the requirement for me to look before I spend. And actually, if I try to spend $95.82, because there's only $95.81, it'll decline the transaction.
So is that then the actual action? So what I'm getting here, what I'm hearing from you is that the actual action, which kind of in my mind initially just in the moment was like, but that means I have to check every time I spend something if I have balance. But I think this is exactly the point, this point around intentional spending, that the habit needs to be shifted from, hey, that is something that's a bother, having to upload money for one spend, versus, hey, this piece around me pushing a button in my app is the very moment of being intentional and is my opportunity to actually say, is this really adding value to my life? Is this ROI? Is this whatever the conversation is? Is that what it is?
That's exactly right. Well, and Seb, think about how much time I spend as a company going afterwards and categorizing that transaction in my accounting system and then comparing it to the budget. That takes our company about 5 to 10 hours a month. Versus if I did it before, it's doing all the work for me as far as categorizing. All I have to do is, oh, yep, this aligns with what we're doing as a department. This is part of our plan, execute, and then all the tracking and all of the accounting is done for you. You don't have to do it. And also it updates your budget. So you know you're always within budget.
And that's
so
the other thing, right? Because
Yes.
it is real time up to the. And look, I have no affiliation with Cube Money. I have not tried it. I don't advocate for it. But it's just the principle, right? That psychologically we are intentional. Just for B2B for the moment, we are intentional with the spending by having this moment in time where we really push a button physically and have the opportunity to think about, does this really have ROI versus having a hasty decision, plus the piece around in real time to understand what are the projection and have that updated rather than waiting for the accountant on a month-to-month basis. Yeah, interesting, right?
That's exactly
and this
right.
applies to me like consumer as well as B2B. There's
It
no
does. It
difference.
really does. Because I can see, like, so I'm a department head, and the executive team has given me a budget of X. Okay, and so then I break out that budget, and I'm like, okay, this manager is over this. This manager is over this. This manager is over this. I now give them authorization. Hey, here is your budget, and here is your card to spend from it, right? And then when they spend, it notifies me. It all rolls up, and there's intentionality to follow the budget and to execute the plan. Because really, why did I put money in there? It's because I wanted that money to do a specific things. So let's put this into New Year's resolutions or goals. Let's say that I want to be a healthier person. Well, to be a healthier person, there's certain things that I need to do, right? I need to exercise. So maybe that means a gym membership. I want to eat differently. So that probably means organic foods, which are going to cost me a little bit more. So I can then go in and I create, okay, I want a gym member. I just create another category for gym membership. And all of a sudden, every time I look at my money, it says, hey, remember, this is what you want to do. And it aligns with exactly the behaviors that I'm trying to create. And money is doing the thing, like it is enabling me to do the things that I want to do and to become the person I want to become. It's no different than a business. We want to accomplish this. So as a marketing team, so we need to put this much money in ads. And we know that if we do that, it's going to create this many hits to our website, which is going to create this many conversions, right? And so now I am actually right in my money. It's saying, this is what this is going to result in. This was our goal, and this is how we're doing it.
Yeah, that is
see
awesome.
What I'm saying?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, and for all the listeners, maybe it's a moment, an opportunity to sit and think about how you guys budget and go about spending. Right. Let's transition the conversation a little bit into culture, into the people that you lead. How, like, beyond. Let's go beyond money right now. Let's dive a little bit deeper into the culture of your staff. How do you communicate and lead your staff into being more intentional, not just with the spending of the money, but also with, because it's not just about spending money, let's be honest. It's about intentionality. You know, I sing songs as in I'm sounding like a broken record with my clients, constantly talking about intentionality. You know, I can talk you through many stories working with Fortune 500s all the way down to startups. It's always the same thing. We want to be more intentional about how we approach things, why we do it, and what the value is for us internally and externally. So how do you preach? How do you go about communicating to your people of what it means and how you want them to go about being more intentional?
Yeah, so we have systems to create intentionality. Okay, so we have planning and task systems like Basecamp and Jira, and like so that we create a plan. That plan generally comes in the form of a Google spreadsheet or a Google Sheet where it says, here's what we want to accomplish and here is the key objectives, right? And then those key objectives go into Figma, which is our design software, to say, okay, now let's create from those objectives, what do we want that to look like? And how is a customer going to experience that objective? And then we go out and we test that with our customers from just a prototype example, so those customers can say, ooh, I really like that. I didn't like that. You know what I mean? And then we reiterate and do it again, reiterate and do it again. And then once we've done that, now we create dev requirements that turn into specific code requirements that each developer is supposed to do that comes together to deliver. And we have a cadence that we do. So that's just talking about our dev. We do similar things because if you're not intentional, the end product is not going to be what you thought it was. And so this is actually super hard. And even though we have all these things, there's like, in the end, I'm like, what happened? This was supposed to be delivered on this date. It's not delivered on this date. In fact, we're releasing something. It was supposed to be delivered on the 15th of January, and now it's the 31st. Thankfully, we're going to get it done by the 31st. It's going to come out this Friday, but I'm frustrated that we didn't get it done 2 weeks ago. Do you see what I'm saying? But if you're not intentional, then money just flows out of your business, and it's wasted, and you'll never get that back. And there's not endless amounts of money. As we all know, many businesses go out of business because those resources aren't utilized optimally. And man, some of the best resources is your people. And your people being like, not having roadblocks, understanding exactly what what their responsibilities are. So anyways, there is so much effort that goes into this intentionality. It's crazy, right?
It's crazy.
It's not easy. It's something we're all trying to tackle, right?
Yeah, look, totally agree. In my mind, and this is where, my expertise, I was able to say, unfortunately comes in, but that's, I think, unfortunately because it may not suit the conversation, but let's just dive into this a little bit.
Yeah.
When I look at this, we all have the systems. We all have that physical environment that we can easily create as in systems, understanding what the software needs to look like. But to me, if you ask me, it's really about reiterating, communicating, recommunicating the power of intentionality. It's almost like this, hey, when you get up in the morning, how do you intentionally or not spend your day? And this is a practice. This is something that doesn't just happen. When we code something, when we talk to somebody, it's not often about, kind of what we say, is about how we go about saying it. And this is again about intention. Am I part of your team? Am I backing you even though I don't agree with the decisions you have made? So I disagree with you, but I fully support your decision, right? It's this intentionality about saying, hey, you know what I mean? It's about talking about this intentionality, kind of really putting it into people's brain for them to start thinking about how they act versus kind of just what they do. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that I can do a lot of things better. You know what I mean? About managing my day and things like that, because I make a list of things that I need to get done and I do prioritize. But man, there's things.
Again, money is coming.
Yeah. 60-minute blocks and really being focused for those 60 minutes, it's amazing what you can get accomplished on the highest like productivity like project, right? Or objective. And then like getting everything else done. But it's super, super important. So I'll just tell you, for me, something that I feel really, really important about is the idea of empowering and expressing belief in my team. So first of all, we are a very mission-driven company. We believe we're saving the world. We really believe that one of the fundamental social issues that our world is facing is this of consumerism and spending. Most people do not know where their money goes. It comes into their account automatically, leaves their account automatically, and they are left. Where is it going? And that creates the leading cause of stress, at least in America where I live. And divorce, suicide, child abuse. I mean, it is one of the fundamental root causes of all these things. And with social media and e-commerce and this whole spending environment, we don't realize the impact that all that is going to make in our world, right? And so anyways, I really teach that, and we have reviews, and then we read their app reviews and we cry because it changes. Like, this saved my marriage. For the first time in my life, I feel in control. I feel confident, like all these things. So there's this culture of we have a mission and we're changing the world. But then this idea of empowering people, my best people, and saying, I believe in you. I believe in what you're doing. I believe that you can make the best decisions and create the greatest like deliverables in your area. And I teach them that. And then we have meetings to, hey, we need to get better at this. There's something going wrong here, right? And I always tell them, we don't rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. And there's nothing more true. In our company, if it's not systemized, it's not going to be done, or it's not going to be done well and consistently. And so where we see friction, let's make those 1% improvements and systemize it so that it repeats the right way over and over and over. And now it's a habit that I don't have to think about. It's repeating because there's a system in place, right? So anyways, that's what we try to do. Like we feel is very important within Cube Money. And I believe we do a pretty dang good job of it. There's always ways to improve.
Amazing. Shane, I want to thank you for your time. It's, I have so much fun with these conversations, and you have been an absolute pleasure to talk to. And I spoke in the beginning about how amazing I find it to meet people, inspiring people like yourself that empower not just your staff, but also your family, your community. And when we first met, that there was this instant moment of familiarity where I'm like, I want to know more about this, right? I want to know more about the impact that Shane creates through helping people really to manage better, to be more intentional about one of the most agonizing things, let's call it, called money there is, that most people don't understand, including myself. I struggled with it for so long, and I'm still on a journey, right? So I want to thank you for making the time, for hopefully, leaving our listeners with some really good, golden nuggets out of your life. And thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been awesome, Seb. Thank you.